So Andy, as an analytics guy, you have a unique kind of view into what things are working and what aren't. So in terms of really, in the video space or even in mobile, are you finding any specific formats that are really kind of getting the users to engage, things that are working?
Well, here's the interesting point. And in fact, I might even take this back to the last question. It's something I think as an industry we need to keep addressing. One of the reasons why there's been a lot of challenges at getting video working and mobile working is because of the walled measurement garden problem, right? And so all these different video content publishers and all these different mobile publishers, they keep coming to us and they say, oh, well, this is the way that you need to measure this. This is the way that you need to measure that. But we don't allow third-party measurement or anything like that. You have to use our system. And we've come up with a system that's wonderful for you. Trust us. What they don't realize is there's like 50 of them coming to us all the time. And this is true in both video and particularly true in mobile. So what happens is that with these walled gardens, we can't aggregate across multiple media buys, right? And so we can't say that, oh, this is what your entire video campaign did. Instead, we have all these different pieces. The first problem with that is it's super expensive from our part and from the advertiser's part. Second of all, it's really hard for the advertisers to make decisions comparing different pieces of content and how well they're working. And third of all, and this is the biggest problem, it makes it impossible for advertisers to say, you know what? I'm going to switch I'm spending $180 million supporting my brand on TV. I want to switch it all to digital video. I want to carve off $3 or $4 million and buy every piece of content I can. They can't do that because there's no way to make those experiences comparable. And it's an enormous problem. And I think until we address that issue as an industry, that a lot of big video digital branding big video branding dollars are going to sit on the sidelines. So,
well, remind me to give you a hug after this. Because, you just sung to me.
Let me just add.
Yeah, I was about to.
That. It's interesting. I'm sitting here and they're describing their conversations with the publishers, and it's like they have the conversations with the publishers, and then I'm on the technology side. Those conversations trickle down to us. So going back to what Becky and Noah said in terms of the innovation and the repurposing, it's how can we repurpose what we built in the formats? And then on the analytics side, we get the same things trickling down. And as a technology provider, the challenge for all of us as technology companies is how do we support through our publishers or through the agency side what they all are bringing to the table. And that's what I think all the technology companies are starting to bring out.
Absolutely. And so I think the question for you, I guess, Steve, is, this certainly is a weak point, and Andy points out the lack of third party in the space. What can we do to kind of solve for that? Are there companies out there that are doing things well? Are there companies that are doing things right? And how do we approach those companies?
Am I supposed to give you $20 to say Panache here?
50, please. Okay,
50. All right, so I don't know what all the other companies are doing. I know how we're addressing some of these problems. I know that to provide the ability to support on the ad product planning side, what we're doing is saying, okay, we don't know what the formats are going to be, so let's take the approach of what can we build that can be quickly assembled and put together very rapidly to support what the creative agencies are doing. And likewise on the effectiveness reporting, we hear it from every publisher of they want an ad effectiveness reporting solution to match up to the campaign goals and what they've sold to the advertiser and what they've presented to you as the campaign goal to be able to provide those metrics. And we provide that type of solution.
Excellent. So along the path of metrics, as we had kind of a preliminary call to discuss what we were going to talk about on the panel, not everybody was able to make it, but I think some of the interesting things that I found were the creative people kind of mentioning ad effectiveness and metrics as a way that they're going about doing their business, which obviously when you envision creative people, in my mind, Andy kind of pointed out, you have a nice dark black glasses and a goatee and in a coffee house with a Dostoevsky book. So I'm not that far off, am I? No? So Marc, really to you, how are you guys looking to solve for the ad effectiveness, and what tools are you using?
What I'm finding is the biggest adjustment sort of moving from being in a more building brands, building affinities, building intent to purchase, using channels that aren't quite as measurable. Coming into this space, it's coming up from more of a DRDM realm. And while I think that's important, measurability and accountability is key. I think we can know things about the work we're doing far more quickly than ever before, and I think that's applaudable. But I also think that, I mean, David Ogilvy said quite rightly, some people use research like a drunk uses a lamppost for support rather than illumination. It needs to be, take this data and let's find out what the insight is. Let's find out what the persuasive human truth is that allows you to then get people to like your brand, be more inclined to purchase your product when they get to a point of purchase. And I think that we've been weaned on a life where, and we work with credit card companies where if you click the banner, you go to the application, you fill it out, our job is done. But what do we think of that brand? And I think that we're at a point in this industry where we can build brands and we can sell products and do it all together, but not necessarily at the same time, Andy.
So Noah, do you kind of have the same thought process?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. We definitely, you know, I think what Marc said speaks to sort of where we've come, that it's no longer just about sort of acquiring those email addresses, but actually sort of figuring out how useful they are. And, you know, I think we're moving further or closer and closer to trying to obviously get towards the final sale. You know, we've been looking a lot lately at whatever we can get to sort of come up with a proxy for a purchase. So, I mean, mostly purchase intent. And we've certainly been doing lots of it. You know, you can't always get at it. And so sometimes you have to sort of kludge together a couple different measurements to try to kind of get yourself there. You know what I mean? But for sure, I think that any creative agency at the moment, you know, as nice as the sort of dream is of clients walking through the door and just saying, make something creative, it doesn't happen that much, you know, just like free reign, we don't care what happens.
Sure. So Becky, you have a unique perspective working at a creative shop, but being a little bit on the account side. What do you think of what Marc and Noah?
I think we'd fall right in line with that in terms of the challenge of needing to demonstrate value at the end of the day in whatever means you can do that. You know, the elusiveness of true return on investment, especially when you're talking about campaigns that are geared toward building awareness or consideration, is, you know, it's a problem that has always been in existence, and it's a bit unfair, but it's the world we live in, that with digital, because you can measure so many preceding steps, there's a higher bar that we're asked to meet in terms of demonstrating our you know, what we're actually delivering. We look to tools like ad effectiveness studies, you know, brand trackers, just like you would in the offline world. And then, you know, the elusive engagement metrics that, you know, don't point you to, for sure, someone is, you know, demonstrating a buying intent or making a purchase, but they give you some sense of whether, if your point is to engage someone, and online that's what's a prerequisite in order to win their attention, demonstrating that you're actually effective at doing that.